Hey everyone, it's Kellen Brower here from RacerX, back again with another race examination video where we're going to start by talking about Eli Tomac off the start, getting the whole shot and basically taking off with the race from here, which I thought was a bit of a rare occurrence, but thanks to our own Mitch Kendra here at RacerX, he actually has done that 9 times, 9 whole shot to flag victories in his career. Last time was 2019 Las Vegas. Does have 4 whole shots this year, but this is actually the first time he whole shot like a straight up main event and not a Triple Crown main event. So it was a peculiar race that we don't normally see out of Tomac to whole shot and lead every single lap of the race and pull away with relative ease, but made it look easy in the end. Of course, the big talking point from practice, though, was Chase Sexton going down hard, missing a shift by tripling up onto this tabletop in the first rhythm section. So he landed in neutral and then went right over the bars. Big crash, kind of got tackled by the bike. It was incredible, though, that he got back up and was continuing to do laps in qualifying after this, but eventually did pull out for the evening. So breaking down this crash, if you can see right here, if we zoom in on his foot here in a moment, as he goes in to get a shift, I'm not sure if he went down or up for a shift, but he was just going for a shift. He just barely taps the shifter enough to click it into neutral. It might be going down. I don't know. It's tough to tell. I thought he would be clicking up a gear right here, but he went for a shift. Clearly he missed it, got it back into neutral, so the second he lands, no forward drive from the bike, it kind of catapults him off of the pegs over the front of the bike, and a violent crash. Now, some people thought maybe he clicked down when he landed, but you can see there's a little bit of distance. It's tough to see, but there's a little bit of distance between his front toe and the shifter right there when he lands. So I don't think that he shifted down when he landed, but either way, violent crash. Good to see that he was able to actually get back up and continue riding, like I said, even though he did miss the remainder of the day. It was not the only person to have a big crash, though, as Justin Barcia goes down in the main event later on in the evening. And boy, he was also very close to having a really, really bad one here. Sexton's looked bad, but somehow he wasn't more hurt in that situation. Barcia's was very close to being really bad, and we've seen this crash happen a couple times this year. First off, kind of just cross-ruts the quad in right here, so he ends up landing on the tough blocks on the right-hand side of the track. But look at how close he goes to just augering in to the next face of the jump. Like, he just basically got over the very top of that next single jump. Could have been a lot worse. Damages the visor, got a little bit banged up in the crash, but he was able to get up and continue on as well. So kind of fortunate that in both of those situations, those guys didn't end up in worse condition, because they definitely could have been very, very violent crashes. In the end, though, Eli Tomac, as mentioned, led every single lap after the whole shot, picked up his 44th career Supercross victory, now ties Chad Reed for 4th all-time on the wins list. He's only 6 away from James Stewart, who's 2nd all-time, which is crazy to see the way that Tomac is moving up. Now we got a break coming up this weekend as we get ready for St. Louis in 2 weeks' time. I want to remind everybody that this video is presented by OnX Off-Road. Know where to go with the #1 off-road GPS app. Access 500,000 plus miles of trails and roads, open dates, and public lands. Download the OnX Off-Road app today. In the 250 class, Christian Craig was able to leap out of the starting gate and grab the whole shot in the main event hard on the brakes of the first corner, just beating out Michael Mosiman. And it kind of looked like that was going to be the race similar to what we saw at Tomac, because Craig had been very fast all day long. Mosiman was fastest in qualifying, but his heat race didn't seem to go very well, so we thought maybe Craig was going to be able to pull away from here. Mosiman did have different ideas, though, and real early on caught fire, was able to come down the inside before the end of the 3rd lap in the main event and give a little bump and run there to Craig and put him on the ground, take over the race lead from that point on. And there are some differing opinions on this pass and what people thought of it, and whether or not it was a good time of the race to try it, or whether it was overly aggressive or whatever. Definitely runs it in a little bit high, doesn't leave Craig a whole lot of room, and gives him a little bit of a nudge there with the hip to just kind of lift him off the ground and eventually send him to the ground. Craig, of course, would remount. But calm down, people. Christian Craig says he's perfectly fine with the 29's pass, no problem with aggressive racing. When you have to do an interview right after a race, sometimes you overreact when the adrenaline and emotions are still high. That's all. So Craig's good with it, was able to get up and still charge forward, so I think in the end, all is good there. But Mosiman did lose his rear brake in the crash, that he bent the rotor, and it was kind of obvious a lot in this off-camber corner because he could never seem to get this inside rut very cleanly. He lost the race lead to Hunter Lawrence, made the same mistake a few laps later, went wide here, and Christian Craig went through, so just kind of kept getting it wrong, and eventually would have to deal with pressure from Joe Shimoda late in the race. Shimoda on the very last turn here tries to square off the inside, but just gets there a little bit too late as Mosiman's exiting the corner, runs into his back tire, and goes off the track. So Mosiman was still able to get 3rd. Of course, the win, though, went to Hunter Lawrence. He was stoked. Christian Craig, he even fist pumped, though, with the 2nd place finish. So I think all is good in the end. Craig was frustrated, but moving on, still got a big championship lead. And Hunter Lawrence, second win of the season, third win of his career. Now these guys have another 3-week break before we go racing in the showdown in Atlanta.